busy.co. Welcome to the Small Business Collaboration Summit, Jennifer Kushell. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here, having known you for many years, and really great to catch up and really see what you've been doing for the past 5 years and have this discussion about what role collaboration has played in your career. Now, you are based in the United States and are the CEO and founder of Young and Successful Media and ysn.com. And you have traveled the globe for the past 2 decades on a mission to impact the lives and futures of young people. Now, your career planning online education platform, Exploring Your Potential, aims to dramatically change how we prepare the next generation for the world of work. And you're deeply committed to youth empowerment, employment, and entrepreneurship, bringing educational, government, and corporate stakeholders together to impact millions and fulfill your mission. Now, for entrepreneurs of our generation, I think the biggest change that we have experienced over the past 2 decades has to be the creation and emergence of the online world. Now, what have been the major ways that you have seen technology impact education over the past 2 decades?
Well, it's funny you mentioned how technology has evolved. I got my first access to the internet when I was in college. I had to go to a special office and request a code and then go online, so that might age me a little bit. But I got online in the 90s when it first started, and we had one of the first online networks of young entrepreneurs in 1993. And we supported young people from 75 countries, which was huge. So everything for me and my whole career has been about collaboration. What was the question? How I've seen it change over?
Yeah, how it's really how it's impacted education.
Well, I think the biggest, most profound thing is that it's democratized access to education. I speak all over the world. I've been to 50 countries now, if you can believe it. And one of the most amazing things is when I go and speak in countries like El Salvador or Peru, the kids will come up to me and say, I don't have access to the same education that young people in the States might have or in Australia. And I said, yes, you do. Anyone can go online now and access some of the best educators, the best experts in the world. They can go to conferences virtually. So I think our ability to be educated at any age is dramatically different than it has ever been. And that makes this such an exciting time.
Now, I'm putting your bio as part of this video so our audience can just see the depth and breadth of the projects that you've been involved with. What role has collaboration played? You mentioned it before briefly. I was just wondering if you could detail what role collaboration has actually played in your ability to really make the impact that you have.
It's been tremendous. I mean, we wouldn't know each other, you and I, if it weren't for programs that I was involved with the U.S. State Department. I think it was probably the Global Entrepreneurship Program where we had met. And I think collaboration has been everything for me. And I build networks. I build communities of young people and educators and people who are working around workforce training for young people and young leaders. And that's only possible because of the technology, but also because of being tapped into powerful networks. And the more networks you can tap into with people who are really on the forefront of thought and leadership, the bigger and better the programs are that you can build and the further you can go. And I've always made it a point to try to find the best people in the world working on the things that I'm interested in and learn from them and work with them and collaborate with them. And so I can say after 25 years of being in this business, I've worked with the White House and the State Department and the Australian government and ministers of education. And very few people can say that, but it's only because of collaboration and partnerships and showing up and maintaining, building and maintaining really rich relationships everywhere I can.
Is there a particular collaboration that you're most proud of?
I would say, I mean, frankly, it's the one that's at home. It's my collaboration with our team in building this company is what I'm most proud of. I mean, we just built an online learning program that is educating young people around the world about their options, creating self-efficacy and confidence in young people that dramatically changes the trajectory of their lives. We had 14 people on our team, both in Los Angeles, in New York, in Uruguay, in different countries, helping us and collaborating. And we brought in their voices into the product, and we were able to make it so much better because of that. But the best collaboration I have is with my team, who are just incredible. And I can give you one other great example. You mentioned that I was the founder of YSN and Young and Successful Media. Well, as of last month, we were able to build a new company, and now we're also venture backed. And so we've just become one of the 2% of companies venture companies backed by women, or women-run businesses backed by venture. So we're very excited. So now we have a much stronger platform than ever before to grow globally. But it wouldn't happen if it weren't for the core team, working as hard as they have and pulling together and helping to grow us as an enterprise.
Now, you've got a team that is spread across the globe, really, or across your part of the world. How do you manage that coordination when you are collaborating with multiple people? Have you got any tips to help other people manage that?
Well, I think, I think collaboration, it has to happen on many levels. It's just like sales. Touch points are very important. We communicate in a variety of different ways, via email, via tools like Slack that enables us to chat regularly. We try to do video messaging as often as we can, at least a couple times a week, because it helps you get face to face. But the other thing that I do, as you know, is I get on a plane and I go places. And not everyone has the opportunity to do that. I've had to work very hard and sit in the back of planes for years to be able to get there the cheapest way possible. It's changed the dynamic dramatically. And so collaboration for me happens in every possible format, from digital to live to text, even writing notes and thank you letters to people. I think that makes such an impact these days, because that used to be old fashioned, but now that's unusual.
Now, you've collaborated with, I guess, more traditional stakeholders, with government, with educational, institutions. Notice that they approach collaboration in a different way, or it's a new concept to them. How have you managed that process with dealing with big institutions?
Well, the interesting thing too, especially with people in older generations who are in more traditional settings, you tend to have more regulation around communicating. We're dealing with education, with data, with security issues. So we have to be very protective of the information that we're sharing. I think also you have to find out what types of formats people like to communicate in. I love texting more than phone calling, or I want someone to text me before they call because I'm on calls all the time. So getting people's style down is really good, I think, and important. And but it has changed a lot. I think also people are overwhelmed with so much communication that we have to learn to be content creators also, and be sensitive to other people's preferences of platforms, but also their time, and getting messages to them quickly and succinctly. We notice, when we're dealing with more traditional educators, some of them want long form content, which is a lot of work to produce, or they want quick little videos, or they want bullet points or one sheets. So we're a media production company at the same time, because we have to kick out content in every possible format, not only for our millennials and our Gen Z, but for the educators. So we have to be on top of the trends and hip and cool for the young people, but then also be credible and communicate properly to the ministers and the deans of business schools.
You mentioned an interesting point with millennials. We've had a few speakers who specialize in the millennial generation, and what we've been discussing is really that this generation seems really open to collaboration because they want to make an impact and have purpose, and the collaboration seems to almost be natural. You've seen multiple generations of youth, I guess, come through over the past 2 decades. Have you seen the way they are, generationally? Is that different? Yeah, and I was just wondering if you could just share your experiences, because I find it really fascinating.
I would say, one of the things which might be a reason you're seeing them being more eager to be collaborative is actually a lack of confidence in some cases. A lot of young people have a lot of anxiety about presenting themselves and putting themselves out, and they want to work in teams because it's safer. And where Generation X, when I was starting, when you were starting, I think we were much more bold and brash when we wanted to break out and do something. We were very disruptive, and so we learned to have a voice very early on. And I think over time, especially as technology has become more and more prevalent, people are using technology more and face-to-face less. And so they tend to not have as much confidence, sometimes have some anxiety about collaborating. And so it is different, but I would just challenge that maybe part of the need for collaboration is because of personal insecurity sometimes, in addition to obviously wanting to make an impact and wanting to do well. But that is one thing that we do need to actively foster in young people. Make them more confident and help them step out and really get comfortable with who they are and their ideas and sharing them in the world.
That's a really interesting insight. Have you also noticed a change in the desire of the young people as they've come through to move more towards maybe entrepreneurship versus going into a paid role as an employee? Have you noticed that shift?
It's very interesting. In Gen X, there was a big shift to entrepreneurship. That was I think the first major shift that we saw young people entering the working world and saying, no, I want to own my own business. I think we saw that for several years, and young people are definitely very entrepreneurial. But I think what's more profound right now than young people starting their own companies is them joining the alternative economy. And that is a gray area in work, in between employment and entrepreneurship, where you do whatever you want to do for Lyft, for Uber, for Airbnb, for Postmates, or whatever, Etsy, maybe you're a micro entrepreneur. But I see entrepreneurship taking form in lots of different ways. But it's not the traditional go start a tech company or go start a business. There's a lot of energy around technology communities and technology startups, around apps, for example. But that's also because we saw such a wave of business plan competitions and hackathons. And so there's been a big effort among governments to inspire young people to go start things and create things. But I think the bigger entrepreneurial trend we're seeing is them taking control and ownership of their work. And that's one of the things that we're really aiming to address, because they're not looking for traditional jobs and opportunities the way that other generations have. But it's not such a distinctive split between work, entrepreneurship, and employment. There's a whole gray area now, which is the alternative economy. And the net new job growth is coming from, those kinds of work experiences that are kind of piled on top of each other to create a salary and create a career, hopefully.
So when it comes to training, this next generation for this new alternative economy, what are you highlighting, and what are the key things that you feel that you need to prepare these youth for through your programs to get them ready for that?
I mean, I would say one of the big ones is how to package themselves, how to show up with impact, how to show up and be able to tell your story. Where do you come from? What are you looking to do? To be able to articulate what value they have and what they have to offer. It's very important if you're going to be in the alternative economy or be an entrepreneur, that you can convey clearly what your value proposition is. And we're working with kids on that all the time. Most young people cannot articulate their value proposition. Most people at any age cannot do that, because sometimes there's a disconnect. The profile we put on our social media doesn't necessarily back up the brilliant entrepreneur we are. And we put, our parties or our friends or our pets. But you want to be storytelling about who you are and what you're offering everywhere you go. And so that means it's going to manifest in lots of different ways, from how you dress how you present your business cards you give people, the messages you send, the subject lines, the things you post online. And so we're trying to encourage young people to be very thoughtful about how they show up, what they say, what they're looking to do, how well they articulate what they want, and also help them understand opportunity recognition, which is something all entrepreneurs need to know. We're entrepreneurs because we see opportunities and we go after them, and we build enterprises around that. We need to teach young people to find jobs that way too, or find work that way. And so that's extremely important. And the collaboration, like you said, finding experts, finding advisors, finding mentors, and getting connected to networks that open up your world, that open up your context. Extremely important for any of us. But we're trying to train young people at an early age to do that so they don't have to go through the crazy learning curve that all of us did.
So Jen, just to end our interview today, I was just wondering if you could share what you feel for you have been the key elements that have ensured your sustainable and successful collaborations.
The biggest one I would say is just is authenticity. You know, showing up and being there because you want to be there. Showing people your passion, your energy, and really building relationships. It's not about transactions. It's about relationships. You know, and so when people need something, when they ask you for something, of course you're going to do it because you're friends. And I think some people have the idea that business is business and personal is personal, but I think it's all the same. I mean, yes, you have your personal life and your free time, but I think of my business relationships as friends. And I think that makes such a difference. It cuts down on some of the formality, yes, but also it opens up doors, it opens up connectivity, it opens up resources, and you're more likely to work with someone that you love or that you really like. And that's made all the difference. I think I have a great love for the people in my life and the people I build relationships with, and I think they have an affection for me too, and that's helped tremendously in building everything that we have.
Well, Jennifer Kushell, thank you so much for being part of the Small Business Collaboration Summit. Obviously, personally, I'm thrilled that I've had an opportunity to chat with you again, and so excited by everything that you've achieved and what's to come now as well, that you do have this venture capital, and, you know, there's going to be just greater things to create. The insights that you've shared will absolutely help the audience today. A lot of practical examples and wisdom. So I'm very, very excited to be able to share this interview with the audience. And again, thank you so much. I'm very, very grateful.
Thank you. And I'm so happy that you're running this program and for all the beautiful entrepreneurs that are going to get the benefit of it. Sending my love to all of you.